Hello, it is Chantel here, and you are watching Studio Expansion TV, bringing you more passion, more profits, and more purpose to your studio. And today I'm going to share with you what you need to know if you want to sell your studio. Maybe not now, but sometime down the track. When we're talking about selling your studio, what we need to be thinking about is how can we show the value of your business? You know, when we run a studio, the difficult thing is that our businesses are based upon relationships. We make our money based on the students that come back time and time again. But that's really tricky to show on a profit and loss statement when we're trying to sell the business. So what we need to start thinking about is how we can really turn your studio into a saleable asset. So what we're really saying when we're talking about creating a saleable asset is showing how your studio can run without you. Because probably at the moment, your studio really revolves around you kind of pulling all the levers and keeping the business going. But if we want it to be saleable, we need to show that the person who's buying it is going to be able to create these same results that you're achieving right now without you in the picture. So this really comes down to how can we systemize your studio so that it doesn't need you to run. This is a big process, but stick with me because it's very, very valuable and it's worth thinking about this early on. You don't want to get to the stage where you have to sell the studio, but you've got none of the systems and processes in place. This is something we need to be thinking about probably 3 to 5 years in advance before you want to start selling your business. That's just a kind of general rule of thumb. The first step to systemizing your business to sell is to do kind of a bit of an audit. We want to think about what is everything that goes on in your studio. We kind of want to write down every single element. And what we're going to essentially create here is a studio operations manual. And this operations manual is going to give you the total holistic vision of if you were taken away on a holiday, let's just say, someone could step in and with this manual, they could run the studio. Now, I'm not talking about a physical folder here. How I would prefer to host it is on something called Google Sites. So let's run through the steps of how to systemize your studio in the hopes of one day selling it. The first step, and this is pretty fun to do with a person, it's hard to do on your own, is to sit down and do what I call a brain download. Let's write down everything that happens in the studio, from the big things like how you settle your finances at the end of the month, right down to how do you set the security alarm when you leave the building. Every detail you do in the studio, write it down on one big kind of Excel spreadsheet or just on a big kind of lot of pieces of paper. The good thing about this is that once you start kind of getting everything out, you'll start to see that there are areas, there are chunks of content that we can start to form into categories. And this is going to be really important when we're kind of building out this system. The second step in this process is kind of pulling it together in a structure. And the way I like to do this with my clients is to create a Google site. Now, this is a free service that Google provides. It's essentially like a directory website, and you can have everything stored very securely within a Google site, and you can allow people who have access at different levels of authority. So within this Google site, you're going to create those kind of big content areas. So it might be in administration, it might be your teaching curriculum. You then might have kind of venue management. You might have a website category. And within those big kind of sections, you'll then kind of start to populate all the little tasks that go on. And the great thing about this is that you can either kind of type up, you know, the step-by-step procedures, or a really fast and easy way to do it is to use video. Now this could be, so you might take your phone and take a video of, here's how we put out the trash on a Tuesday night. This is where the bins go, and you actually kind of film it and show that's what happens. Or, as opposed to doing a physical video in the studio, you can also use screen record capture software. So for example, if you want to show how to enter in a new student into your student management software, what you can do is you can use a program called Camtasia or ScreenFlow to record what's going on your screen. Then you just talk over it. So you just kind of show with your mouse. If you want to enter a new student, you just go here, you type in their name, and then you type in there that you click here, you click this, you do that. And at the whole time, the person is able to follow step by step how you're completing this process. So it's so simple, and the person who's viewing the video can pause and then go do it and come back and have a complete reference guide to it. So now that we've got to step 2, we've actually got something to sell. We've got an asset for the business. And the good thing is that it makes, if you go through this process, truly it makes your business so much easier to sell, because at the moment your studio is probably all up here and everything's lying in your head. But the moment you actually get it down on paper and you make it very clear of if you do this, you do this, do you do this, and they've got a reference point to come back to, it makes it so much more appealing to a buyer. So truly it is a very important step. The third step in this is training. So the person who's buying the studio comes in with you, you sit down, you have a cup of tea, and you walk them through how to do everything in the studio using this resource library that you've created. And it's going to give them so much more confidence in that they're going to be able to run the studio. And you're actually going to be able to charge a whole lot more for the business because you've created a replicable formula. And that is where the worth and the value of your studio lies. In a nutshell, what we're selling is the system. We're selling that you can come into the studio, you can have the teachers, you've got the formula, you've got everything at your fingertips, and you can create the same thing. Because when someone's buying a business, what they're looking for is the return on their investment. And so that if the easier you can make it for them to see how that formula flows, the more you're going to be able to achieve with a sale. The great thing about this is once you create this system, not only is it going to help you sell the business, but it's also going to help you really refine your processes as you go. And it's a great exercise in systemizing and automating your business to be more efficient. So that's a real plus on the other side as well. The big question is, have you done this? Have you got a systems manual for your studio? If you think about it, in many ways, this type of process is actually great insurance for your business. If we can ensure that if you needed to go and be with a family member for a couple of months, someone can actually step in and ensure that the students can continue learning. That is huge peace of mind and a huge relief when you're a solo business owner. So my question for you is, do you have a systems manual for your studio? I'd love you to share your response in the comments below. If you liked this video, please subscribe to Studio Expansion TV. It's going to give you a whole lot of tips on how to not only to systemize, but also to grow and expand your studio. And if you've got a friend who's a studio owner who's thinking about maybe selling their studio within a few years, this would be a great video to share with them. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time on Studio Expansion TV.